Election 2020. It doesn't seem like the campaigns have gone on nearly long enough, and yet they're both nearly over. And if you're one of the perhaps a dozen Americans who doesn't know for whom they're going to vote yet, good news. A Sheen show has got you covered with the following list of sound bites that are the most important ones either candidate has ever made.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
They say the noise causes cancer.
150 million people have been killed since 2007.
I think we're going to be very good with the coronavirus. I think that at some point that's going to sort of just disappear, I hope. I'll be right eventually.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
It's under control as much as you can control it. This is a horrible plague that beset us.
It would put 720 million women back in the workforce.
Suburban women, will you please like me?
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
That's enough. Put down the mic. You are a rude, terrible person.
I got hairy legs.
I've been very unfairly treated, and I don't say that as paranoid. Everybody says it.
That turn blonde in the sun.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
The kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down.
Nobody's done the things I've done.
So it was straight and then watch the hair come back up again.
Anybody that knew Fred Trump would call him a psychopath.
So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.
There has never been anything like what you're witnessing now.
I'm one of those folks or competitors. It's not over till the bell rings.
You're so negative.
Joe Biden has a deep, steep, and successful record over a long, long time.
Kiss my ass.
The way he's handling COVID is just absolutely, totally irresponsible.
We can't forget that the North and the South fought. Otherwise, we'll end up fighting again.
What is he running on?
Peter, oh, I love you so much. I love you, Peter.
Gosh, Mr. President, I didn't know you had such strong feelings, but to quote your wife's jacket, I don't really care. Do you? Happy Election Day, y'all.
Classic boomer talk.
I read an interesting thing today that said Reuters journalists were being outfitted with flak jackets and helmets and all that kind of war correspondent gear to cover election night.
Yeah, those cops will beat your fucking ass, press pass or not. They don't give a fuck if you're a journalist. They will throw your ass to the ground and manhandle you and then throw you in jail.
That seems like it's for the best. I work with somebody who works in emergency management, and she made it a point to bring her children into the office so that she could get her computer with all the latest patches, because God forbid her computer stop working in the next few days.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with
I agree with
journalists getting their shit kicked in by cops?
Because emergency management personnel around this country would be involved in situations of that nature.
They'd be involved in the ass beating, or they'd be involved in monitoring the ass beating,
They
or
get their ass beat? What?
They monitor the people whose asses have been beaten.
What do you mean they monitor it?
If shit gets out of hand to a certain extent, they can be called in to respond by politicians. So they have to monitor all the situations like that because they have to be ready.
Does that stop the ass whoopery in any way? Or
No, it's total cleanup. She's saying that her coworker had to come in and get her shit because she might be on call due to all the ass beatings going on.
So what does she do? She kicks in the door to the precinct and wags her finger at all the cops and says, "No, you don't beat journalists' ass. No.
Look at all these journalists' ass you beat.
Wrong.
deal
Now
with
we're
all
going to
the
put you on
fallout.
paid leave for 2 weeks and you'll still retire with a pension, but still
Bad.
bad."
Yes, that's exactly how it works.
I don't know how much it's working per se, but
It really be like that sometimes.
Is there anybody on this podcast right now who has not already voted?
no.
No.
No, I checked your ballot today.
So
I checked Brad's today too, and that's enough for me.
So everybody has voted
Yes.
on this podcast. So in other words, none of us are undecided voters. In fact, we've already cast our ballots. And so by the time this podcast airs, no one in the country will have not cast a ballot.
Well, that's certainly
that
not true.
chooses to, yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of people who just aren't going to vote. I
Right.
know plenty of people who aren't going to vote. And felons also. Felons can't vote. But semantics aside, The 3rd is election day, correct? The 3rd of November.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Whatever day we're pretending this is. Do you find out on the 3rd of November?
Typically, you do find out on the day of the election because typically enough of the vote is counted for them to extrapolate all the numbers and declare a winner of sorts. Now, there have been times it has not happened that we have known on election day, but as a general rule, yes, you have a strong indication by at least the wee hours of the next morning.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah, usually about 11:30, midnight.
But
as
not
everything's
this
coming
time.
in. Because there's so much mail-in ballots.
That's a fact. And so, in order to count the mail-in ballots, and there are some states you can't count the mail-in ballots until Election Day. Even though you've gotten, say, 9-10 million mail-in ballots, you can't start counting them until November 3rd. So there are some states that have a few million ballots to count, and doing a few million of anything takes a few days. So
Yeah.
it could be a while.
And even with the results in, they are likely going to be disputed.
Certainly, I would expect that to happen, at least in one precinct, in one state, somewhere. It's going to happen.
Oh, it's going to be more than in one precinct and in one state. It's probably going to be in almost all 50 states and every territory. There's an army of lawyers on both sides of the aisle who are licking their chops. I think that's the expression. Because they're all going to challenge these results, and it could be several weeks before we know who actually is going to be the president. And guess who may ultimately decide?
Besides the American people?
Yeah.
The Electoral College, of course.
Well, not just the Electoral College. I prefer.
You really want it to be the Electrical College
He
on
does.
Electric Avenue.
Because then the fact that it doesn't make sense to him would be so much more poignant.
It's true.
That's because the Electoral College is located on Electric Avenue.
I didn't.
Oh,
that's what that
nice.
song
You
is
got to
about.
get on back, too.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have known that.
Good God.
Well, this might be a good time to explain the Electoral College in some detail for those folks who may have some questions. I know, Nick, you originally had some questions about the Electoral College until you heard this tutorial.
So, you've decided to vote for the President of the United States. Good for you. That means you're going to want to learn all you can about how important your vote is to the Electoral College. At the Electoral College, America's most learned political scientists, scholars, and researchers determine which votes are valid for the highest office in the land. Sure, you know who you like, but you're probably not a political scientist. That's why in America, our founding fathers entrusted our presidential vote counting to the geniuses of the Electoral College. Here's how it works. When you cast your ballot, you and every American voter make a decision between the only two options you're given for president. This is what's known as the popular vote and is vital to the decision-making process of the Electoral College. The Electoral College sorts the popular vote into two important categories: accepted or rejected. All accepted and rejected votes are combined, tallied, and placed in the garbage. Once this has been done, the Electoral College, in their incalculable wisdom, will inform the American people whom they've chosen as our president. And remember, their word is final. So exercise your right and duty as a U.S. citizen and cast your ballot for president on Election Day. Because your vote matters.
That sounds about right.
Does sound about right.
Sure does.
When we first wrote it, it was like a 15-page essay. We
A rant?
had to trim it down.
You should save that for future classes.
The reality, though, is that it's entirely possible that this won't come down to the Electoral College at all. That it will indeed come down to the votes of 9 Americans on the Supreme Court. They may end up making a decision on a legal challenge to this recount or that recount, which could determine the outcome of the election. As a matter of fact,
Wait, what?
yeah,
Yeah.
So, like, if it's unclear, the Supreme Court just picks?
No, there has to be a lawsuit involved.
There's only one way there's not going to be a lawsuit. Well, but hold on. Didn't Trump appoint most of the Supreme Court justices?
Not most,
Not
but
most.
is it strongly Republican? Yes. Did
Actually-
they rush through the last nomination when they held up the last nomination within the Obama era? Yes. Is it painful and just despicable on many levels to many of us? Yes.
So does that not just undo the whole checks and balances thing?
Ding, 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 ding.
Now, hang on now for a second, okay? So let me explain. Yes.
Hold on.
There you
It's
have
not
it.
so simple. Let's not paint with a broad brush here.
But yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes. I mean, they are supposed to uphold the law, but the law is open to interpretation, bitches. So when 6 people are more likely to interpret it similarly, you fucked.
Well,
Okay.
not necessarily. Okay, so you asked the question, didn't President Trump appoint the majority of these Supreme Court justices? No, he only appointed a third of them, 3 out of 9. Now, 3 other justices were appointed by other Republican presidents. So you have a 6-person Republican majority on the court. Only 3 left now that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is no longer among us, are justices who were once appointed by Democrats. So it looks like if it comes to a Supreme Court vote, it could very easily go 6-3 in favor of the current president.
That's so fucking stupid that, like, you can just say, no. Look, there's a mistake. The American people don't know what they want. I'm saying that that's wrong. So now 9 people are just going to pick for us.
Well, there is precedent. In the year 2000, Vice
Yeah.
President Al Gore ran against Texas Governor George W. Bush, and the election came down to who was going to win Florida. If George W. Bush won Florida, he won the election. If Al Gore won Florida, he won the election. It came down to just over 500 votes in Broward County, Florida. The Florida Supreme Court ordered a recount. The Bush campaign took it to the Supreme Court, who, in a 5-4 vote, said, no, you can't recount it. You're going to have to go with the totals as they stand right now, which favored Bush by 500 votes. And by a 5-4 vote, George W. Bush won the election of the year 2000.
This took what, like a week or 2?
It took
like 2 weeks to find out for sure?
It took at least 2 weeks.
It was a substantial enough amount of time that once you got over the shock and awe of it, you just kind of assumed you'd never know.
And we will never know, in fact, because the recount was halted. So we don't actually know who won the election of 2000, but we do know that
What
it was...
how is that? Does not make any logical sense to me. Why would you not just recount it?
Well, why don't you read through their notes? But the thing that scares me
I'm
is
not
that
reading through their fucking notes. Are you kidding me?
Then you'll-
How can nobody in the system take an objective step back here and say, we're being dumb right now? We do this by counting the votes.
That's not the Supreme Court's purpose. Their purpose is to uphold the law.
All right, in this case, the law doesn't make sense. Only Sith deal in absolutes, okay?
Shout
Listen,
out to the Supreme Court.
listen. I'm just saying, like, why is it a big deal to just recount it? If there's a dispute on what the number is, some people think it's this, some people think it's that. Okay, no big deal. We'll just recount it real quick. No big deal. We'll just recount it and squash the beef. Instead, they did an illogical move and said, instead of recounting it, we're just going to assume that we got it right the first time and also never know definitively. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's exactly what you're hearing.
But I mean, there was
So-
reasons for it at the time, and I'm sure if we were listening to some objective documentary about it, they would explain why it was like holding up finances and all sorts of other things. I'm sure there's a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason. It just wasn't a good reason. It was a reason that gave the election to George W. Bush by a 5-4 vote of the Supreme Court. Full stop.
Here's this kind of scary thing is that at least 2 of the Supreme Court justices rule based on previous precedent. Like that's Amy Coney Barrett's
That's dumb.
whole thing.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's Kavanaugh's whole thing is they are textual, which means
Yep.
that they look at the previous interpretations and say, well, this is what our predecessors did, so that's what we should do.
So you're saying their whole legal thing is we've always done it like this, so we're just going to keep doing it like this?
It's called precedent, and precedent plays a big role in how decisions are formulated or whether or not even the Supreme Court will take a case is will it change existing precedent?
But precedent isn't the end-all be-all. It's not the
Says
logical
you.
conclusion to everything. There's a case-by-case basis. If you just deal in absolutes, like, no, they said hundreds of years ago, we're doing it by precedent, and no matter what the circumstances or times are, we're doing it by precedent.
Well, in this case, it was 20 years ago, but yes.
No, the Supreme Court will, in fact, overturn precedent or set new precedent as it suits them as circumstances change. For example, and we've brought this up before in this very pod, Neil Gorsuch wrote the majority opinion reaffirming gay marriage in this country. And he's a conservative justice, another textualist appointed by President Trump. So I wouldn't say that anything is a foregone conclusion in terms of any Supreme Court decision simply based on who appointed them to the court.
Okay, none of that satisfied me.
Fair enough.
Why is logic so reviled in these legal things?
It's not reviled at all.
What's the word you want to use? Like just not utilized, left on the table?
Well, you'd have to be an attorney to really break down why the Supreme Court in any particular decision does X, Y, or Z. So it's a case-by-case basis. Indeed, the Supreme Court rarely does deal in absolutes, is the truth of the matter.
But it's not a case-by-case basis. You said they use precedent. If you just use precedent on everything without exception, that is the opposite of a case-by-case basis.
Yes, but I just said that they don't always use precedent. Sometimes they make new precedent based on changing or exigent circumstances. I said that too.
So what is the likelihood that this will go to Supreme Court again?
It's impossible to say at this point.
Fair to Midland.
But I'd say fairly high simply because of all of the legal challenges that one can expect in the aftermath of today's vote.
Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised if it didn't. Unless Trump wins by a landslide, I'd be surprised if Trump didn't say, I'm being fucked, I'm being cheated.
Swindled. Hornswoggled.
He doesn't use the word hornswoggled, but you know what he does use?
But he should.
He should. Everyone should.
What he does use is the word rigged. This election is rigged. All the mail-in voting makes it rigged.
Yeah, but you know what I like about Hornswoggled? Besides the fact that he was a dwarf WWE wrestler?
No, I didn't know that. Hornswoggled was a dwarf WWE wrestler?
Hornswoggle, yeah.
Okay.
He's a little person. I don't know what exactly the right term is, but he was a little person dressed up like a leprechaun who was a WWE wrestler. Hornswoggle. But aside from that, it's a presidential word. You know,
Right?
That's just a presidential word.
You have the best words, obviously.
The best, the hugest.
Speaking, though, of things
The hugest.
that do scratch your itch,
Gross.
I know that you, Nick, are going to welcome the cessation of texts from candidates asking for your support. I know that.
Yeah, you know what? Let me just go through my text real quick and let's count how many separate numbers have texted me. And by the way, this isn't counting how many have called me. Just got another one today. Hi, Nicholas. It's Jessica volunteering with Democrats. This is our last chance to get fucked. That's one. Okay. Hi, Nicholas. I'm Leslie with the Joe Biden and the Nebraska team. That's two. Okay. Hi, Nicholas. It's Amanda volunteering with Democrat Kara Eastman. That's three.
Okay.
Hi, Nicholas. I'm Jen with Joe Biden and the Nebraska team. That's four. And then right after this one, hi, my name is John with the NE Young Dems, and I want to urge you to return your ballot to get fucked. That's five. Hi, Nicholas. I'm Amanda. This is the same bitch, but it's a different number. That's six.
Well, it may not be the same bitch. Could be a different bitch.
Well, I guess it could be a different Amanda working with Kara Eastman's campaign for Congress.
It very easily could be. There's a lot of Amandas out there.
Sure. And then here we go. Hi, Nicholas. I'm Samuel, a volunteer in the 2020 election. That's seven. Right after that one, hi, this is more than I even thought. Hey, Nicholas, this is Debbie with Joe Biden and the Nebraska team. According to public that's eight. I did get one more. Hi, this is Jordana with the 2020 NE medical marijuana campaign.
Right. The only one of those texts that you actually
gave a shit about. Yeah.
No, I didn't because I thought it was a trap.
It probably was. But can I just say, it sounds like the Democrats really have it out for you. What did you do to them?
I don't fucking know. I don't know how they got my number.
And the funny part is that, of course, as you know, Nick, we actually have a phone call between you and a volunteer that you accidentally picked up on. Let's give a listen.
Hello?
Hello, is this Nicholas Sheen?
Who's calling?
This is Kate Gecko with the Senator Ron Creamer campaign. You know, Election Day is coming right up, and I wanted to know if you cast your ballot yet for Senator Ron Creamer.
Ron Kramer? Are you talking about the lizard man?
It sounds like somebody's been listening to our opponent. No, Senator Creamer is as far as can be from a lizard man.
You're joking, right? I heard his campaign ad. The dude is definitely a lizard. I mean, he proved it beyond the shadow of a doubt as soon as he opened his mouth. I've never heard someone sound so much like a lizard speaking English. Look, you're the 15th person to call me and ask if I voted, and I voted a week ago. Okay, my sister harassed me. I voted who she told me to vote for, and she took my vote to wherever it needed to go. You guys have got to leave me alone.
So, we can count on your vote for Senator Kramer then?
Lose my fucking number. Take me off your list. I did not vote for Senator Lizardman. I will never vote for Senator Lizardman. Jesus, you fucking people.
Thanks for your vote, Nick.
In all seriousness, though, that pretty much did happen when I was eating with my mom. It was like 5 separate people who called me. And then the last one was one of those goddamn Democrat telemarketers. And I gave him a little guff. I was probably a little more aggressive than I needed to be. Or maybe just right. I don't know. I haven't gotten a call since, so.
Probably turned out just exactly the way it was supposed to. Good job, son.
Yeah, it pissed me off.
Why did it enrage you so?
If there's a database with my name and number in it, is there not also a database that shows that you've reached out to me already? Look, if Trump weren't the only other option, I swear to God, I would vote for the other guy just because of how much harassment I've received from Joe Biden and the Nebraska team. Swear to God.
It's a good thing for Joe Biden that Trump is the opponent.
Yeah, I'm being harangued.
Well, I know one thing that'll make you feel better.
What?
Watching The Mandalorian on Disney+. New season just out.
Disney Plus. Yeah. Thanks for the hookup on the Disney Plus. Me and Taylor spent probably 45 minutes just scrolling through all the shit. Oh, remember that? Oh, remember that? A lot of obscure things. Sarah, you look annoyed. Yeah, Sarah had to leave and take a phone call. Some work shit.
I shouldn't have answered the phone. That was my fucking first mistake.
Rookie.
Now you've been roped into something?
No, I did not need to answer the fucking phone.
From Tara Eastman's congressional...
No, and I like Tara Eastman.
You wouldn't like her if she called you goddamn every hour of the day.
You can block those phone numbers, right?
But then the different one calls me. They got a fucking army of these guys out there.
I did consider volunteering my time to Tara Eastman's campaign, but then I didn't.
Anyway.
I can't print. Okay, and what time is it? What do you want from me? Am I there? You got it figured out? Holy shit!
Congratulations, you're the best IT person ever.
You did it.
I mean, I did say, hey, is this like important? Because I am kind of in the middle of something and I thought it was important. And then...
I'm sorry, I thought this was important. It's important, right? It's important, right?
No, I got it.
You're goddamn right you do.
Whatever, this is fine.
Get bent.
Congratulations.
You know, I was talking to Taylor the other day. One time me and her were at Leo's Diner in Benson before they closed.
Yeah.
And we were sitting down and this old dude comes in the fucking priest thing. And he sits down next to us. We're at the bar. He sits down and he's like, yeah, I want pancakes with, I can't remember. It was like some kind of sauce, like some kind of cranberry sauce he wanted. They were like right about to close their lunch place. So they close at like 3.
Yeah.
This was at 2:30. And they were popping every day. They were busy, you know.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I want the cranberry sauce. She's like, sorry, you know, we had a real busy day today. We're out. It's a real popular sauce. He's like, I don't understand that. I just want cranberry sauce. Okay, that's all I want. Well, I've been coming here for 25 years. I think I should get a little cranberry sauce. And she's like, well, I don't really know what to tell you. You know, people ordered it. We gave it to them. Now it's gone. He's like, I am a priest at the church right across the street. I've been coming here for 25 years. This is not right. You will hear about this. And then he walked out. I just had to call that waitress over and be like, can I just say how fucking much that pissed me off? What is the amount of time that you've been coming here have to do with the inventory and demand for sauce? You know what I mean? The sauce is gone. Your time coming here doesn't change that.
Why didn't that specific waitress set aside a cup of sauce for the priest man?
Yeah, right.
She should have known
what he was thinking. But you know what? I should have handled that. You know what I wish I would have done instead?
No.
And there would have been absolutely zero negative repercussions either. I just really wish I would have done this. Right when he was like, you know, I've been coming here for 25. I wish I would have just looked over and be like, will you shut up? Shut up.
Man, shut up.
Hey, shut up. Get out of here. He'd be like, what? You can't talk about, hey, shut up. Just get out of here. Tell you what, why don't you go back to your fucking church and pray for Jesus to give you some cranberry sauce?
Look.
Get out of here.
Either order your fucking pancakes and put syrup on them like God intended, or get the fuck out.
I wish I could just go back in time and possess myself and just look over and be like, hey, shut up. I've always wanted to tell a priest to shut up, like aggressively in a restaurant.
Oh, in a restaurant specifically? Because you could do that anytime. You can just go to any parish and just walk in and wait till a priest shows up. When he starts talking to you, hello, my child, what can I do for you? Just then at that point, yell at him, shut up.
Shut up.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be a him because women can't be priests.
Actually, I think, if I may, the way I would do it is wait till he's right in the middle of a sermon. He's really getting into the word of the God. I'm like, hey, will you shut up? Just shut up. I just sit there and stare him down and expect him to leave.
Yeah, I understand. There might be other parishioners who might try and wrestle you out of the
Yeah, that's
parish.
probably. You'd probably get to do that one time.
Yeah.
Once.
Yeah.
And then your name goes on a list and your face goes on the,
Those
the
parishioners,
poster.
they're pretty aggressive.
They sure
You know,
are. You
they'd
gotta
wrestle me out of there and then probably fuck me in the ass and face.
with their guns.
Well,
because that's what the Catholic religion is designed to do. Ultimately, is to fuck boys in the ass and face.
Okay, yes, but I mean, this is Protestant country.
As
and
Louis
that's where the
C.K.
guns come
said,
in.
if aliens came to Earth and saw the Catholic Church and just got like a full compilation of everything, they'd be like, okay, this is an organization solely dedicated to fucking little boys with tax-exempt status.
That's what Louis C.K. would say while he was jerking off while talking to a female comic.
That or the
on the
Boy
phone.
Scouts.
Elsie threw the Boy Scouts into that mix, too.
Yeah, they belong in there.
Oh, speaking of which, I was watching this thing. What it was like just a clip of Saturday Night Live. You know, Adam Driver, Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Matt, he's such a dick.
It was a sketch for Saturday Night Live, and he was just some old fucking dude. Pete Davidson was his son, and it was a funny sketch. But the reason it was funny, and someone pointed this out in the comments, is that like dramatic actors, serious actors, always commit to the bit 100%. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they take acting so seriously.
Right.
And that like makes the bit funny every fucking time. I guess Ricky Gervais had this show called Life's Too Short. It was like him, some other guy, and an actual dwarf.
I think you mean
Liam
little
Neeson.
person.
I think you mean Hornswoggled after he retired from WE.
This particular dwarf in that show really looks like his face is a grown man's face. It's a normal, I hate to say this is so not PC, but a normal, just a regular proportion sized man's head on a small body.
Yeah, that's dwarfism.
Anyway, what I was saying is that Liam Neeson comes in. It's like a bit where he's like, I want to get into stand-up comedy. I wrote a list of the things I want to do. That's why I got picked for Schindler's List, because I'm always writing lists. And they like start laughing. He's like, what's funny? Oh, we thought you were making a joke. But he's like, I'm not joking at all. And he's like, let's do some improvisational comedy. And then Ricky Gervais is like, I can't really, I kind of got some meetings. And he's like, let's do some improvisational comedy right now. And it's so fucking hilarious because Liam Neeson is dead serious the whole time.
Really intense.
Yeah, it's so goddamn funny. And then there's another one with Johnny Depp. I don't know how they got these guys to agree to do this shit.
Oh, why not?
Johnny Depp is going to play a dwarf in a movie. So he has the dwarf guy come over and he's like, yeah, just walk around and like dance and stuff. And he's got one of those recorders and he's making little notes. It's
Jesus.
so
Oh my
funny.
God.
He pulls out a little flute and he's like, all right, now dance. He's just playing the flute and shit.
And what show is this?
It's called Life's Too Short.
Now I get it, because it's got
Yeah.
a dwarf in it.
Yeah,
All right.
I think it has something to do with the dwarf getting shit on all the time.
Yeah.
But it's a Ricky Gervais and
Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Johnny Depp. I'm really sorry you lost your court case. I think that you're totally in the right, and I don't think that you're a wife beater. Love you, Johnny.
that was just suit against the people calling him a wife beater, though. It wasn't
Right,
like the,
but still, it hurt his
He should have
image,
won that, yeah.
obviously, and
I
yeah,
mean-
he should have won.
I mean, he's still got money. He's fine.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Does
you know.
he have money left?
Yeah, he spends it all on wine. So.
I've heard he's got quite an expensive wine.
You play
hobby.
Hunter S. Thompson one time and you fucked forever.
It goes to show you, no matter how much money you have, you can piss it away. You can.
Unless you're Jeff Bezos.
Well, that's true. Jeff Bezos would have a hard time pissing $200 billion away. But this producer, who is the father of Elizabeth Hurley's child, his name's Brian Haidt, I believe. I'll have to look up his name. He recently committed suicide at the age of 55. He inherited $600 million. And by some reports, at the time that he threw himself off of the 27-story condominium where he lived,
Fuck.
he was worth just $300,000 out of $600 million.
So he
Wow.
is that why he killed himself?
Yes,
Probably.
Sounds
Because
about
he
right.
pissed it all away.
because he pissed
yeah.
it all away.
Hey, you dumb. Don't spend all your money then. What the fuck you talking about?
It's
You
easy to
should throw
do.
yourself off a fucking flat, you dummy. How you spend $600 million? And even if you only got $300,000 left, I mean, that's enough. You sell all your shit. Okay, you got to sell all your shit and live a little bit quieter out in a suburb somewhere. You can still live.
No, you can't.
I
You
could.
know, it
I fucking
depends.
could.
So he was probably born into some sort of money, right?
Yes, he
Like-
was
Well,
born
clearly, I
into
mean-
They don't know how-
$600
they don't-
million.
Oh, yeah. How
Those
lo-
people don't know poverty.
You're right.
Yeah, they
They
don't
don't know how.
It's an evil, hellish.
Yeah.
They probably catastrophize.
Haven't
it.
you
It
watched
is.
Schitt's Creek, Nick?
No, I haven't. I hear good things about it. So how long did he have that money? Like, how long did it take him to piss away $600 million?
His entire adult life.
Oh, okay. Well,
He never had
That's
any
fine.
money management and didn't want to go to the soup kitchen because that would be embarrassing.
That story shook out how it should have, I think. He had a good run. He spent $600 million, fucked up, couldn't handle not having $600 million, and killed himself.
Yeah.
One less rich asshole. Seems fine to me. Everything checks out here, sir.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Except for his name. I said Brian Height. I don't know why I said that. His name's Steve Bing.
You're just making up
He
names.
fell from a
Completely
great
wrong.
height.
That's probably why I said that. He killed himself. By the way, this was some time ago. This was in June 22nd. So
Well, thank you for that prescient news then. Thank you.
I guess that wasn't
It
real.
was very important.
Prescient. How about that? You don't hear that word often.
No, you don't, because it doesn't apply in this case, because prescient is talking about, looking in the future, and I was looking in the past. So it was the opposite. So I'm explaining it
Well, she
because
said it in a sarcastic way, so you could argue.
Right? That's the beautiful
That
thing about
sarcastically-
sarcasm, yeah.
Sarah, what are those
Fuck
things
you.
that you flashed at me as an explanation for your absence?
Contacts.
Really?
Yeah, I was at the
Why are they-
eye doctor.
So
Okay.
you got
Okay.
contact lenses? Do you wear contact lenses?
I used to wear contacts and I got a bunch of dailies so
And-
that I can do things like go swimming and not have to worry about my glasses.
Amen.
Well, you should get some lizard contacts.
I'm not doing that.
Good call.
I tried to
not?
get lizard
Money.
contacts. They were sold out.
They're not that expensive.
$25 for lizard contacts, but that's just non-prescription lizard contacts, obviously.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Then I
you'd still
gotta-
be blind as a bat.
Right. And at that point, unless I have
But you
the
can wear your
sun-
glasses
yeah.
on top,
Well, no, you wear sunglasses over it, you see, prescription sunglasses, and that makes everything better.
but then you can't tell that you have lizard eyes, though, if
It's
you've
like
got
for the
sunglasses.
shock value after. I don't know.
So you can pull your sunglasses down.
Yeah. Much like David Tennant in Good Omens.
Yeah, thank you.
I've
Thought I was-
not seen Good Omens. How is it?
I loved it, but I loved the book and I loved David Tennant.
There you go.
And Michael Sheen's no slouch.
Oh, that's true. He once played the Prime Minister of Great Britain, among many other roles.
I'm having a crisis today.
What's the crisis?
First of all, my cat's missing.
Uh-oh. That's
and
bad.
second of all, my dogs are being fucking assholes.
Do you think that the
So-
dogs have something to do with the missing cat?
They do actually have something to do with the missing cat because the
cat's missing?
Yeah, the cat's missing. Johnny came up last Thursday and brought his dog, and the cat does not like his dog, so we let the cat outside like we do, and that's the last I've seen of her.
Oh, yeah, she probably was like, yeah, this dog's staying here now? Peace.
Well, yeah. So I went and walked the lost pet kennels earlier, and she's not there. And I've trawled through a couple different lost pet pages, and she's not there. So either she'll turn up or she won't. We've had her about a year, and that tracks with how long I fucking can keep a cat around this place.
A, I'm sad for you. That's not great news. B, we'd love to send you a cat.
Which one?
Your choice.
Through DHL, of course.
Yes. Smashed on your doorstep 7 days later.
Would you rather have somebody stare at you in disdain and scream at you when they want to eat, or would you have somebody that's going to scratch up all your shit? Which would you
Well,
prefer?
I mean, my shit's already kind of scratched up.
Porque no los dos.
Yeah. I mean, and
Good
I judge
point.
myself when I eat. So whichever one's pissing you off most.
Yeah, you know what I like to
Right.
do? I like to get just a big old plate of pasta, some I'm not supposed to be eating. It's dripping in sauce. I go in the bathroom and I just turn on the light and just watch myself eat it and hurl insults at myself.
You fat piece
You
of shit.
Fucking scum.
You fucking disgusting.
You literal pot-bellied vampire goblin. Just need to go crawl under the litter box and live there, you fucking troll.
You should talk nicer to yourself.
Wait a minute. I'm confused. What does this have to do with Sarah's missing cat?
Oh,
I don't know. We lost the plot
Yeah.
for a little bit.
Yeah. Just roll with it.
Okay, fair enough.
I did.
I would look out the window. Sometimes I do this in Sarah's house. I look out the window of the bathroom, the guest bathroom, and I see the cat just sitting out the window, like kind of nodding its head, like, yeah, you are a
I
fat
see what
piece of
you're doing
shit.
there, yeah.
Okay, got it.
You are gross,
So that ties it into Sarah's missing cat.
I guess,
Yeah.
loosely.
Well, maybe you should go up to the bathroom and do that right now. Maybe Sarah's cat will turn up and stare at you
Yeah.
disapprovingly. That's what cats do. They do stare at you disapprovingly.
Cats love a freak show,
They sure do.
you know?
They sure
I guess
do.
we've been pretty short on those.
How so?
How do cats love a freak show?
Yeah.
Well, you have 2 cats. You should know.
They just do, you know? They're scuzzy creatures. They just like a freak show. They like to sit around and watch, peeping through the slats. That's their game.
Look at these fucking humans.
They're gross. All right. Well, this is the campaign season. I'm glad the campaign season is winding down, in part because I don't know about either of you two, but aside from a million phone calls, I have gotten a million emails asking me for fucking money because I once gave some money to a particular party at some point. This is literally more than a decade ago. And as a result, I am on every list in the world. It's unbelievable.
And listeners, we just want you to know that if you give us all your fucking money, we'll never bother you again.
We will ghost your ass so fast. You'll wonder, how did my bank account hit all those zeros?
It's funny you say that because there's two directions I want to go here, and I'll go with this one first. It costs a lot of money to run a campaign. I had a conversation one time with a guy who was running for mayor for a small town. And to win a mayor's election for a small town, $5 to $10 grand.
Wow.
$5 to $10 grand to be a mayor of a small town. If you want to be a member of the county commissioners, that's going to be $50 grand or more.
Is that just for like the yard signs?
Yard signs, direct mail, you name it. It costs money to get elected. And then if you're talking about being a member of the House of Representatives, there you're talking about at least $1 million. At least. Maybe more.
I read an article today that said the Ricketts family has spent over $100 million this election cycle, so I'm not surprised.
Well, most
Ricketts getting that Chinese money.
Is that what he does?
Yeah, I've said this multiple times. He's friends with a man named Hong Jiang, who's from China, and takes him to China regularly.
Sounds legit. I'm sure it's all for agricultural trade.
Oh, I'm sure.
No doubt about that. But it costs money to get elected. And in fact, we have a kind of a primer on how to raise money.
So now that you've decided to run for office, it's important you learn how to fund your campaign. That's because in the American system, you have the freedom to talk people into voting for you. But that speech isn't free. It costs money, lots of it, and it's up to you to go get it. That means you gotta talk people into giving you money. Rich people, poor people, large donations, small donations. You need to do whatever it takes to juice as much money as you can from these people. And that means using the foolproof technique of telling them whatever they want to hear. They want you to fund cancer research? Promise them you'll get right on it. They want a pipeline through a Native American burial ground? Promise you'll get it built. All that matters is you convince them you'll do whatever they want for money. How you gonna keep your promises? You won't. When you're elected, you can figure out who it's most profitable to screw over. That's how you fund your re-election, and most importantly, sustain your bacchanalian lifestyle. So follow these simple campaign tips, and we'll see you in Congress.
Was I talking about something earlier?
You were going to be talking about the littlest soldier in the Civil War.
I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, I had something else pulled up, but I will tell you about that. I got it right here. His name's Johnny Clem, the drummer boy of Chickamauga. He was the youngest soldier in the Union Army, shot a Confederate colonel, and retired with the rank of general in 1915.
Major general, specifically.
Would you like to hear a little bit more?
How old
Sure.
was he?
9 years old when he joined the Union Army.
Jesus.
So when he was 9, John Lincoln Clem ran away from his home in Newark, Ohio to join the Union Army. But the Army was not interested in signing a 9-year-old kid. But the commander of the 3rd Ohio Regiment told him, I'm not enlisting infants. So he turned him down. But he just kind of tagged along anyway.
He became like a little drummer boy.
Yeah. And so they're like, you know what? Fine. You want to do something? Here's some sticks. Beat the drum while we're
on the march.
And so he wasn't regularly enrolled, but he performed camp duties and received a soldier's pay of $13 a month.
Hell yeah.
A sum collected and donated by the regiment's officers.
Okay,
He bought a bunch of Legos with it.
Now, the next April after this happened, at Shiloh, little Clem's drum was smashed by an artillery round.
Yo.
Yeah. So I don't know if that just shot it right off his waist, and he was just, I don't know exactly how that all played out. I'm sure it looked cool.
Well, kids are pretty bouncy, so, the shell probably hit by his feet, and the drum went one way and the kid went another, and he just bounced right back up like a little spongy trampoline.
They were made of tough stuff back then. Now, Dan, I'm sure you can help me with this. Do you know what a caisson is? A C-A-I-S-S-O-N?
Yeah, it's called a caisson. And in fact, it's featured in the Army's official song, When Those Caissons Go Rolling Along. So it's a caisson.
So it's the thing that cannons are on. That when cannons are wheeled on, it's like cannons are on those two big wheels. That's what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
I'm assuming. Yeah. Okay. So after his drum got destroyed by an artillery shell,
he said, "Motherfuckers, that's it."
He rode an artillery caisson to the front and wielded a musket trimmed to his size. A sawed-off musket. Little 9-year-old boy just on top of a fucking cannon on wheels. Maybe 10.
Yeah, he might have actually turned 11 because this happened the following year after all this. So he might have been 11 years old now.
Okay,
It's
so
pretty
maybe
badass.
11 years old.
So they had a little feral child riding a cannon into battle, which would be pretty
Yeah.
disheartening to see.
Yeah, well,
For
okay.
sure.
So in one of the Union retreats, a Confederate officer ran after the cannon Clem Road and yelled, "Surrender, you damned little Yankee." And so Johnny shot him dead.
Fuck off!
This pluck won for Clem national attention in the name Drummer Boy of Chickamauga.
Chickamauga.
So he stayed with the Army through the war, served as a courier, was wounded twice. He was just always in the service, began receiving his own pay.
When did he start receiving his own pay? At what
Well,
point
he started receiving his own pay pretty much immediately.
well, that was donated pay.
You mean like when the paperwork or whatever the fuck they had back then?
They had paper still.
Yeah, I mean, but
No, paper was invented in the 1900s.
they didn't have
we know
filing
this.
cabinets and shit.
They-
Like, where do
no,
they
they
even
did.
keep all the paper?
That's-
Where does it even go? What do you fucking do
That's
with
a
it?
question for modern times. Where the fuck is the paper? They had paper.
So after all this, he was promoted to the rank of sergeant in the Union Army. He was 12 years old.
Hell yeah.
So after the Civil War, tried to enter West Point, but was turned down because of his slim education.
Bitch, I learned on the battlefield.
Yeah, I think that would be the best education. Whatever. A personal appeal to President Ulysses S. Grant, his commanding general at Shiloh, won him a second lieutenant's appointment in the regular army on 18th December 1971. Then he attained the rank of colonel.
1871, probably.
That's what I said.
You said 1971, but I'm going to go
Did I?
ahead. Yeah. But I'm going to go ahead and say 1871.
Double down and say that you said 18.
I said 18. So he retired from the Army as a major general in 1916, having served an astounding 55 years, which is a long time for someone to serve in.
Yeah, so he was like 64.
Probably.
Makes your dad's service look weeks off.
No doubt, man. All I did was do 36. What a pussy.
You never
what
rode an
you need to
artillery
do, Dad?
casing either.
You need to ride an artillery casing and shoot a Nazi
with
in the face.
With the sawed-off musket.
Now, you've opened the door to this war story, so I'm going to fucking tell it. I never rode on a caisson, but I did fire a 155 millimeter howitzer in anger. And
Anger. Okay.
and I have a photograph of it.
Yeah, I've seen that photograph.
Now, I didn't take that photograph. Someone else
Obviously.
was there taking the photograph as I fired that shell in anger in support of Wolverine 16.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just like little Johnny Clem.
Little drummer boy.
Except the only difference was I was 44.
You didn't have a sawed-off anything, I don't think.
Except the sawed-off psyche.
Right. But the thing I had pulled up was, this is a pretty good Ask Reddit. I know we've done some failed Ask Reddits before.
I got a good feeling.
This
about
one
it.
is good. It's just insane. And I'll give you, Dad, as a history major.
Buff?
Yeah, I was going to say buff, but
Gross.
you do have a degree
Anyway.
in history, so it seemed like I should acknowledge that.
You're legitimizing him.
doing?
You know,
Fucking dog's down here sniffing for truffles in the carpet.
He's licking his own toes. They just blend
Oh,
into the carpet.
Okay. Anyway, he loves them toes, boy. He craves that mineral. So, Dad, do you have any not safe for work history facts that you don't hear about too often?
yeah, absolutely.
Let's hear it.
For example, when we talk about not safe for work, we're talking about sex. So there's a big history of sex. For example, that Romans and Greeks had sexual intercourse with boys. They were pedophiles. Fucking gross. But it's a fact of history.
It is a fact of history.
And so that's a not safe for work historical fact. As I was sharing with you earlier, Nick, in the 1800s, for example, children in the United States were by and large considered to be little adults. And so they could work. In fact, they needed to work.
They needed to go get a little fucking job. Well, actually, a big boy job.
Indeed. So they
Shucking
would
them
be
shells.
either working on their parents' farm or in the factory or wherever. But that also meant that as a little kid, you could drink and smoke. And if you ran across the wrong person, end up with a penis inside you. A big
Yeah.
grown-up penis. So
Pinocchio. Drank and fight and smokey-oed.
Exactly. That's also a not safe for work piece of history, if you want to phrase it that way.
All right, I got a funny one. This
Oh.
one just made me laugh. You know who Machiavelli is?
Yes, of
Yeah.
You always
course.
hear about like Machiavellian schemes, but like who was he?
So he was a 15th century Italian. He was an advisor to princes. He was involved in the government of Florence, which at the time was an Italian city-state. And he came up with the idea, interestingly enough, of a citizens' militia. He originated that idea, as a matter of fact, because in that time, at that particular time in history, most armies were professional affairs, were mercenaries. So anyway, there's a lot more to Machiavelli. Machiavelli
Okay, well, here's a
was...
little story about him. Machiavelli wrote a letter to his friend about how he fucked a prostitute, then threw up all over her when the lights came on because she was so ugly.
That's awesome.
The more things change,
Yes,
the more they
indeed.
stay the same.
So true.
When the woman spoke to him, Machiavelli was struck by her, quote, stinking breath and, quote, I heaved so much that I vomited all over her.
That's harsh.
There weren't no dental back then, okay?
That's the funny one, but oh Jesus Christ, yeah. So you remember the villain from the Pocahontas Disney movie, Ratcliffe?
Yes.
So the actual death of Ratcliffe from the Encyclopedia of Virginia says the colonists, led by Captain John Ratcliffe, walked into an ambush. About 33 men, or 2/3 of their number, were killed. The Indians captured Ratcliffe, and their women skinned him alive using mussel shells.
Nice.
Ouch.
Women
But
need
that's not-
revenge too.
But this is not the best one. I got one more, which is interesting. So, in ancient Egypt, soldiers proved their battle prowess by presenting the severed penises of their slaughtered enemies. Traditionally, severed hands were presented, but in 1182 BC, Libyans and other allies invaded Egypt and were defeated by the army of Ramesses III. And Ramesses suspected that some of the soldiers were claiming extra credit by presenting the hands of women as well as the male soldiers. So he demanded penises instead.
Yeah, that's why he wanted them.
His victory inscriptions mention 12,535 foreskins and hands, and has images of the piles of the body parts at the Medinet Habu mortuary temple.
Nice.
The top comment there is, we won the battle, dicks, or it didn't happen.
I think that's a good one right there. Now, those are good, not safe for work statements. Do either of you kids watch much NFL football?
No, I did watch a former NFL star win in a UFC match this weekend, but
Yeah, Greg Hardy, a wife beater, cocksucker. Anyway,
yeah, we don't like him.
We don't like him because he beats women. We don't like that. We're not for that. But if you watch any football, you're going to be struck by the homoeroticism of the announcers.
Oh?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, man. And here's the thing that blew my mind the other night. Chris Collinsworth, who is paired with Al Michaels on Sunday Night Football and has been for 15 years or thereabouts, maybe 10.
Now there's a guy that uses some homoerotic phrases every chance he gets.
He does. The other night we're watching football and he says about this football player, man, that kid's a dynamo from the waist down.
No, it's a real powerhouse from the waist down.
A real powerhouse from the waist down, Al.
So you're telling me that I need to not watch football and just listen to the commentary?
Yes.
Well, no. This is why people turn
Who was he
off
talking
the
about? What
commentary.
position was he talking about?
Running
back.
Yeah.
A running back.
Oh, I was going to name a sexual position, but okay.
Look, he rushed for over 60 yards this game, and his bulge says it all.
But
You can practically see the veins through his jockstrap in that cock. It's real nice, Al. He's got a nice cock, Al. What do you want me to say? The cock's nice. What?
sometimes it be like that, yo.
You know, these kids, they come right out of college. They got real nice cocks, Al. They're young, they're hungry, they just got that new big contract, but most importantly, they got nice cocks. All right, I'm done.
Yes. Now you get it. And I don't watch football for that, but now I can't not hear it. He's a big, rangy kid. Got some athletic thighs and glutes, Al. I mean, yeah.
You know, I
guess.
love my wife. We've been married 25 years, but I sure would like to get fucked in the ass by that running back, Al.
Look, not to take away from all of this, which is great, but if you guys are ever looking for a podcast or a book or some insight into human relationships, you should listen to or read anything written or narrated by Esther Perel. She's really good.
Oh, she is amazing. But also, why would we want to learn anything about relationships? Lame. Yeah. No, she's very smart. She depresses me. But I guess it's better to be a stoic realist than a romantic fool.
She depresses you because you're in such a delightful romantic relationship that you don't really need any relationship advice.
Yeah, that's it.
It's totally fascinating, her insight into human behavior.
She's a real good sociologist.
She's very good.
Was this the women's portion of the program?
Men can learn too.
Yeah, I mean, they won't, but they could.
It was just a great way to follow up.
Just a little misogyny thrown in.
Just a great way to follow up homoeroticism. Hey, have you heard about this women's author?
Yeah, that was a good fag hag moment.
Here's another quick good one, a little one-liner. Some NSFW history fact. The deadliest female serial killer in U.S. history, Clementine Barnabet, had murdered 35 people with an axe by the time she was 18 years old.
Fuck
Sweet.
yeah. You know, I shouldn't glorify violence.
But wait, I forgot the best part. Not so fun fact, she was out of prison before she was 30 and never seen again.
Ooh.
Nice. Atta girl.
Wow. So she killed 35 people with an axe and only did 12 years in prison for it?
Yeah.
When was this?
She was part of a cult called the Church of Sacrifice.
Oh, okay.
Sentenced to jail at 18 in 1912.
Hey, one last thing, and I'm going to bring this up right now because this week, a guy named Keith Raniere, former head of a cult that went by NXIVM, got sentenced to 120 years in prison. There's a number of series out right now on both Starz and HBO about NXIVM and the kinds of, frankly, horrifying activities that this cult was involved in, involving branding women, master-slave relationships, multi-level marketing. It's all mixed in there, but the bottom line is Keith Raniere, what a fucker. Hope you rot in prison and enjoy your prison sentence, you fucking fuck.
Jeff Epstein yourself.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
What's the deal with Gladine Maxwell?
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine, whatever. Her name is not important. What's her status
She
right
was
now?
his Mossad, MI6, CIA handler.
Look, I know who she is. I mean, what's the status of her trial right now?
No
Google.
comeuppance. That's the status.
The status...
She's going to walk or get murdered.
She's going to walk or get murdered. That's Nick's point of view. She's, in fact, in pre-trial confinement, and they are preparing to try her ass.
And
When
the
is
rest
that
of her.
slated to start?
Unknown.
Hmm.
It's going to be scheduled to start at some point after she suicides herself.
Got it. So they got to pencil that in.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be a big surprise to everyone when it happens. There will be a lot of fingers pointed. It will be a very big mistake. A lot of people will be really sad that they didn't get a chance to see her have her day in court, but she'll be dead. That's my prediction.
There will be no justice. Nothing's going to happen. No one's going to go down. The kids are not going to be saved.
For some people, her death is justice, so.
Yeah, but it's not really. She deserves more than just death is pretty easy on someone like that.
Yeah.
She has perpetuated the agony of untold children for money or for sport, whatever.
Can't suffer, then.
But she could, though. They could lock her up in a jail and let her waste away in prison. That is what should happen. That's not what's going to happen, though. She's either just going to be murdered or she's going to walk.
I feel like if I were one of those people taken advantage of, I would be okay with her being dead, too. I mean, I'm sure it's somehow not satisfactory, and that's when you discover that you'll never have closure on shit like that. But better dead than alive wandering the streets.
Definitely true. Better dead than alive wandering the streets. But I hate to quote President Trump here, but we'll see what happens. She could very easily end up going on trial and spending the rest of her life in prison simply because, after all, Jeff Epstein, the guy who could really throw some people under the bus, is indeed already dead.
She could too, though. She arranged most of that shit.
Yeah, we don't really know the dynamic of their relationship. We don't know if he was at the head or if she was at the head.
We all know who else was at the head.
Hopefully, all of that will be revealed at her trial in the fullness of time at some future date. Well, kids, what do you got going on this week?
Well, it's Murphy's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Murph.
Happy birthday, Murph.
Don't forget to text me so I can remember.
You and Nick both. Got it. Group text.
Again. Wow, this is insane. You should find this thread. There's so many. There's a lot of funny stuff, and then there's a lot of like really fucked up stuff.
For the history.
I've had enough internet for today, thanks.
Benjamin Franklin had a fart fetish.
You can't prove that.
I think there are many correspondence letters between him and his buds talking about all the nasty shit he would do with women.
Including farting on them or getting them to fart on her?
Getting farted on, yeah, so that he may know of the smell.
It's a pre-scat fetish.
It's like 1800s lingo talking just nasty letters. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, well, Ben Franklin liked to get his freak on. That is well known. That's a good NSFW, not safe for work fact.
I don't know. I'd talk about that at work for sure.
You're a little edgy, hun.
Okay. I got nothing else. How do you top that? You know? I mean, you don't. Could, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, that was a perfect way to end it, Nick. Thanks.
I got something else just off the record that's pretty gross, too.
Okay, go ahead.
James Jameson, the heir to the vast Jameson Irish whiskey,
What do you do?
fortune. In the 1880s, he purchased a 10-year-old African girl so he could draw her being eaten by cannibals.
Oh my
So
god.
what he did is
What the fuck?
he purchased a 10-year-old girl, went and found a group of cannibals, threw her in there, and was like, all right, guys, get at it, and then pulled out his sketch pad so he could draw it happening.
What a sick fuck.
Yeah.
Money will do that to you.
Yeah, I'm not going to include that.
I think we should open with that.
Bold of you.
Get sued by Jameson.
All right, I'll leave it in. Love
I
you,
don't know
bye.
about that, though.
All right.
For the love of God, don't do that.
Okay, love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
The arm in the sky keeps on turning.
Ginger Kitty, can you open the door and let Ginger in?
I'll be tomorrow.
A Shin Show is a production of Shinfluence. It features the voices and opinions of the Shin family, which are entirely and exclusively their own. Join us each week on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks as always to our regular listeners. We love to hear from you, so if you have a question, comment, recommendation, or idea you would like to submit to a Shin Show, please email us at ashinshow@gmail.com, and we will be happy to ignore it, belittle you publicly, or steal your ideas if you actually have a good one.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.